Yes, hello and welcome to the BFL Football Show for another week, proudly supported by McDonald's Ballarat and always Ballarat Toyota as well. And Nunny, excuse me, welcome aboard this week, mate. It's another big week of BFL action last weekend.
Huge week, exciting
Sebas, probably
results.
the story of the round.
Exciting, the Barra, they're up and about, mate. They've got their first win on the board, so look out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just go through the results very quickly. Darley played North Ballarat City at Darley Park. North City 11-12-78 defeated Darley 5-9-39. East Point in probably the upset of the round by I suppose by everyone's account. I think everyone would have thought Sunbury would win this game quite easily, but East Point have shown they are a contender this year. East Point 13-13-91 defeated Sunbury 10-11-71. Melton South 13-12-90 defeated Lake Wendouree 11-14-80. Redan 19-16-130 defeated Bacchus Marsh 3-5-23. And Sebastopol 23-14-152 defeated Melton 12-7-79. Nunny, we'll move straight into Sebastopol. A great win for those guys down there at the Muddy Bush Reserve. And Michael Powell's performance in kicking 11 goals. What an outstanding individual performance.
Mate, I watched him play obviously against Ballarat a few weeks ago, and he was probably looked like their most likely player up forward. And they started him at full forward, and our guys really struggled to match up on him. And they moved him out to centre half forward, I suppose, to get him into the game a little bit more, and that's when he sort of fell out of the match.
Yep.
But he could be quite a good stay-at-home full forward for the Sebastopol Footy Club this year. The only thing that obviously will hurt him will be lack of supply and actually getting the ball down to him. But this kid can play. He's a very good footballer. He's kicked 11 on the weekend, albeit against Melton, who are struggling as well. But a fantastic performance, and keep your eye on this kid, especially if Sebastopol continue to develop. He's going to be a superstar of the competition.
And he's the sort of player Sebastopol need their sort of players to hang around and be career players with the club and really take their club into the next phase and really be, I suppose, if they want to be successful in time, they need those guys to hang around and obviously those juniors to progress as well.
Spot on, Broads. And if there's any of Sebastopol's former decorated players that are out there, still at good age that could play Major League Football out there and are considering going back to the Sebas Footy Club maybe next year or the year after, whatever it may be.
Time to head back.
Great time to head back. You've got young kids like this coming through. This kid's a superstar. If you can put a midfield together, maybe another key defender to help Malcolm Niblet out down there, they're going to be a good side in the future.
Now, you're spot on, Nunny. And look, probably the upset of the round, as I said before, was East Point defeating Sunbury at the Eastern Oval. Maybe not a massive upset for the people at East Point. I'm sure they went into the game quite confident, but their form's been pretty good, East Point, and makes the win even better. As obviously there was no Dan Jordan, there was no Brad Whittaker, so missing the two key forwards out of their side, and to beat Sunbury, who have probably been the side to beat so far this season, was a really good effort, and I suppose those younger players for East Point really stood up.
I think most people are probably referring to this as an upset because they didn't have the likes of Dan Jordan, Brad Whittaker, and then a couple of other players that obviously play down their spine as well. So, when you take into account how successful they've been with Dan up forward, he's the best forward in the competition, hands down. And to have him sitting on the sidelines and to still beat the team that's sitting on top of the ladder undefeated is a massive effort. And look, I spoke to Rick Orwood through the week, and he said his boys just basically didn't turn up. They rolled up to the Eastern Oval, and they thought they were going to walk away with the 4 points, easy win. But East Point showed them.
Any side has that sort of attitude. I'm not too sure that's what every player had in the side. I'm sure it wasn't, but you can't afford to go into any game with that sort of attitude. And I think if you do, you'll come unstuck. As simple as that.
Absolutely. Wake-up call for Sunbury, there's no doubt about that. And look, they got some pretty big injuries and some suspensions out of the weekend too, so they've got to be careful over the next couple of weeks. They're coming up against some pretty good sides. They lost McKay, broke his ribs on the weekend. Lobb, I think, did a hamstring and maybe some concussion as well. And then you've got Ross Slight and Tim Hill both got suspended on the weekend too, so could be a bit of a danger period for Sunbury here. They've got to watch themselves and make sure they don't drop too many games.
Yeah, has their form been outstanding so far this year? I think they've had haven't played a hell of a lot in terms of opposition.
They've had some close calls.
They've had some close games. North City last week, North City could have easily won that game. So I think they've got a lot more improvement to come out of their
For mine,
side.
Redan's probably been the more impressive side of the
sure.
competition so far this season. But in saying that, Sunbury were undefeated up until the weekend.
Yep, exactly. Now, North Ballarat City back on the winners list. A game they needed to win. They obviously travelled down the highway and went to Darley Park and got the 4 points. Exactly what they needed to do. They just got to keep on winning from here on in, Nunny, and try and I suppose build some momentum in their season and try and challenge for a top 3 spot, because you really need to finish top 3.
Yeah, look, they've got a string of very winnable games now, heading towards the middle part of the season and towards the end of the season as well. So, it's going to be tough to see them drop a game from here out until they come against the top sides in the competition again. The Ballarats, the Sunburys, and Redan again. So, they're going to go on a run now. They're going to win some games, and they're going to develop that momentum and build some confidence, which is really what they needed after having 4 straight losses. So, I think they'll get their season back on track, and they're starting to play some good footy.
And Redan, what a dominating start to the season they've had. I think we said it on the show last week that when we've seen them win premierships in the past, they've always built momentum throughout the season and play their best footy at the right time of the year, which is obviously the business end, come finals time. So they've started a little bit different this year. They've started off winning every game they've played so far and getting some key players back, like netball over the side as well. So they should only continue to get better, I suppose, as the season goes on. And I'm not too sure if they've got any players to come back into the side as the season goes on, but their form's been really good, and full credit to their coaching staff. Eamon Gill, I know, watches the show most weeks, and Gilly's the sort of bloke that would enjoy a bit of a plug. So Gilly's is for you, mate. But he's done a really good job. Obviously, with Brendan Peace now, also co-coaching, it probably lets Peacey also concentrate on his game a little bit more as well.
Yeah, for sure. And look, Redan were as good on the weekend as Bacchus Marsh were bad.
Yep.
If you could say that, I guess. So Bacchus Marsh were, they've had one of those terrible games where they've come up to Ballarat and they've been whooped from start to finish, basically. They only put 3 goals on the board. It's a very disappointing performance from those guys, and they'd be shattered at this this performance, especially considering how they started the season. So, look, Nick Bly back into the side. They've got a couple more players to come back in. Whether Luke gets fit after his trip from overseas, I'm not sure. He may make his way back into the senior side, but he's won 4 premierships with the club, and he's an important centre half back to them. So, look, who knows who they're going to bring back into that side, but they haven't put a foot wrong so far, and they're looking as dangerous as ever.
Yeah, for sure.
This year, so they're flag favourites hands down for mine.
Yep, no, very good call there. Now Mountain South at 3/4 time in this game, Mountain South and Lake Wendouree. Mountain South, it was 12-9 to Lake Wendouree 5-11, and Lake Wendouree stormed home in the last quarter and ended up getting beaten by 10 points. So probably a frustrating result there for, I suppose, Webby. They showed that they can play a good quarter of footy in the last quarter, but just their first 3 quarters really cost Lake Wendouree, and Mountain South would be pleased to come away with the 4 points at the end of the game.
Inaccurate kicking. There's always a question about Mountain South, when they play their home games on that small ground, and they win more than they lose, which is great for them. They've got a nice little fortress down there, and it's a fantastic advantage for them. But there's always a question mark hanging over their heads when they come up to Ballarat or they go across to Sunbury and they play on the bigger oval with more space. And you look at this game, for example, and they've got a handy lead at 3/4 time. They've almost been overrun. So it begs the question, is fitness a factor here? Is pace, speed a bit of an issue? Not too sure. Take nothing away from them. They were fantastic on the weekend, and they played some really good football. And Matty Sutton continues to, just surprise every single one with the performances that he puts in on a weekly basis. He's a super player and a star of the competition. So, look, a really great performance for them to have the win, but it would be a concern for them to have almost been overrun by Lake Wendouree.
Yeah, for sure. Now we'll move on to the junior interleague results from last weekend, Nunny, and obviously the sides travelled across to Bendigo last weekend and played across there. Unfortunately, the Ballarat Football League lost the Shield for the first time in 6 years, which is disappointing.
Shattering.
Not by much. I think it was pretty even, 4 wins to 3. So
three wins all, and we lost on aggregate. We actually got off to a great start on the day. We won the youth girls and the under 14 games, which was the two early games, and we thought, here we go, we're on a bit of a roll here. But look, to Bendigo's credit, they've got some fantastic kids. They played some great footy. It was a brilliant day. The weather was spot on. Everything was, we couldn't have asked for anything better. It was a fantastic day. The kids enjoyed their experience, and unfortunately, we just couldn't bring the Shield home.
We'll just go through the results from each game. The first game we'll look at is the youth girls. The Ballarat Youth Girls 6-10-46 defeated the Bendigo Youth Girls 2-7-19. So a really good win there for the girls.
Janet Bruton, best on ground. She's a gun.
Yep. I actually umpired on Sunday, and she fantastic. She's a very good footballer. In the under 16s, Bendigo 11-14-80 defeated Ballarat 4-3-27. So a pretty good win there for Bendigo in the under 16s. In the under 15s, Ballarat had a really good win here. 10-14-74 defeated Bendigo 7-9-51. Best on ground for Ballarat was Blake Thompson. He's certainly an outstanding young sportsman, Blake. In the under 14s was Ballarat 7-2-44, defeated Bendigo 3-4-22. Best on ground for Ballarat was Lachlan Thornton, so right on to Lachlan.
Star of the future.
I think he was best last year as well, Nutty, in one of those games as well.
Yeah,
so.
he's a good little footballer from Mount Clear.
Under 13s, Bendigo 9-5-59 defeated Ballarat 5-7-37. And in the under 12s, it was Bendigo 4-9-33 to Ballarat 2-3-15. So a pretty close encounter all in all. And now the juniors focus on the big Bob Davis challenge against Geelong coming up very soon.
Yeah, it's Mattingly Park on the 7th of July, which is a Saturday. So we're really looking forward to welcoming Geelong to win a league match in Bacchus Marsh, for the first time ever. So it's going to be very exciting.
Fantastic, mate. Now the netball from last weekend. We always touch on the netball, Nutty. Just run through the results very quickly. Darley 44 defeated North City 15. East Point 69 defeated Sunbury 18. Lake Wendouree back on the winners list. 84 defeated Melton South 24, Redan 47 defeated Bacchus Marsh 41, and Melton 53 defeated Sebastopol 15. So, look, Sally McLennan and the girls were very pleased to get back on the winners list and I suppose get the 4 points. And also, Nunny, Bacchus Marsh failed to beat a side above them again. So certainly some concerning signs there.
It's always been the question mark put on the Bacchus Marsh netball side. They're fantastic against the teams that are below them on the ladder, but they come up a team either level pegging with them or sitting above them, and they just can't seem to get over the line and actually beat them. So, they're a good side, but they're not a fantastic side. So they've got a long way to go before they can actually match it with the best teams in the comp.
And the big blockbuster this weekend between Lake Wendouree and East Point, is it a preview of the grand final?
I think a lot of people really see this one as a preview of this year's grand final. East Point and Lake Wendouree have both had upset defeats this year so far, but if you look back on those games, they did have a lot of players out in those matches. So it's fantastic to see these two sides come up against each other. If you want to see a really good game of netball, get over to I think it's been played at the Wendouree Reserve this weekend. Get along and have a look at it.
For sure. Now, Nutty, just touching on something that has been brought to our attention just recently with regards to another league in the state, having a consolation final series. Now, I'm staggered to hear this. Now, can you please explain what a consultation final series actually means?
Yeah, it was reported in the Weekly Times by Ros Lanigan that the Golden Valley Football League is considering having a consolation final series this year for sides that finish 7 to 10. Obviously, they're a 10-team competition, so the teams that finish outside their top 6. It might be. They might even have a top 5. I think it might be 6 down to 10. So they might have 2 lots of finals, one for the top and one for the bottom half. And the reasons for them implementing this final series would be whether or not it might be good enough for the clubs to raise a bit more revenue for the league, to raise money through canteens. So it's more of a fundraising thing than anything else. But it poses the questions, and at the end of the season, when guys in these sides who are finishing the bottom half of the ladder, have they had enough? Do they just want to finish the footy season and just get on the cans and play some golf and just relax or do whatever it might be? It's a funny thing, but what do you think?
I totally agree. It's all well and good for about getting people through the gates and raising some money for the league and the clubs, and obviously through the canteen and that. But people go to those games to watch the footy, and if the footballers don't want to play, what's the point of having it?
Yeah.
And I can't see it getting up, because I can't see enough players in every club being willing to get out there and then play for a consultation final series in a consultation final series after they know they've missed the proper finals.
Yeah.
You've got stuff like footy trips, and often a lot of footballers do play cricket. It's a good time for them to have 2 or 3 or 4 weeks off before the cricket season starts, go away with their families.
Yeah, that's true.
The last thing for them, I'm sure the last thing that they want to do is to play a consultation final series. It really means nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely
right. They hold
a
consultation cup up as well?
Yeah, well, the idea is they'd have medallions and cups and all that sort of stuff for the team that wins the consolation final series. Would you hang those up in your
cabinet, mate?
Well, yeah,
you finish 7th
maybe not. It's
a side might come from 10th to get them a day.
It's a new suggestion. It's all about revenue raising, basically, to raise funds for clubs to try and take the pressure off them in previous years to try and subsidise fees. That's probably the main positive to come out of the suggestion. Another suggestion was to maybe not play it as an open age comp. Maybe it might be an under 25 competition where the younger guys could play in the competition and the old guys can just sort of fly off into the background after the season finishes. But there's all these things like players don't usually get paid for finals games, so where's the incentive for them to play in that consolation final series, and all this type of stuff of rewarding mediocrity and all that sort of stuff. So
I think it's probably more open to happen at junior level, where kids are happy to keep playing footy. Kids love playing footy. I'm not saying adults don't either, but kids probably are more inclined to say, yeah, that'd be great, let's play another 2 or 3 weeks of footy.
Yeah, look, if you want to have your say, jump onto our website. We've got a poll running there and have a vote and let us know what you think.
Now, none of the Mark and Goal of the Year nominations. There's been some good nominations so far, but we're still hoping for a few more.
2 ripping goals on the weekend. Sam Clifton kicked one over his head, and Michael Powell had a snap late in the game as well. I think it was a check side, actually.
Number 11 or 10 or 9, what was that for?
Or it might have been number 10 or 11, I reckon. So, a couple of really good ones there. But if you've got any nominations, send them in to us, aaron@ballaratfl.com.au.
Very good. And the BFL live scores application, as always, go to the website, download the iPhone and save the little iPhone to your homepage on your iPhone.
Correct, yep. You'll see it there, the big iPhone on the right-hand side of the page. Click on that and save that page to your iPhone.
Thanks, Dunny. And a big weekend of BFL action coming up this weekend. We'll have a look at this weekend's upcoming games. First game, Lake Wendouree East Point played at the Wendouree Reserve. I think East Point may get the chocolate tea there. It's pretty good form. And
super form. Expect Dan Jordan to come back into that side, and they'll be tough to beat.
Wouldn't be surprised if this game's pretty close. So look, Lake Wendouree have played some good patches of footy this year. So
they push the top sides, so they'll definitely be competitive.
Sure.
But I can't see them beating East Point.
Mountain South and Redan, a game that you think Redan would travel down the highway and win?
This time last year, Mountain South beat Redan at their home ground, and Redan obviously went on to win the premiership there. Yep. It's not going to be out of the realms of possibility that Mountain South can win this game. They're definitely a chance, but I think the way Redan's travelling at the moment, can't see them getting beaten.
Yep, Sebastopol and Darley, a game that I would have thought that Sebastian genuinely think they could win this game.
For sure. This is a very winnable game for Sebastopol, especially on their home deck. Played some great footy there last weekend. I'm not sure that Darley have got a defender that will be able to go with Michael Powell on the weekend. Right. He is the X factor. They get it down to him enough time, Sebastopol will win this game. If Darley are able to cut his supply off, Darley will win.
And Sunbury and Ballarat, will we see Aaron Nunn back in the side? I'm sure that his form warrants selectors to have a good hard look at it. You've been telling us in the office all week you couldn't believe it didn't get picked last week.
That is an absolute lie, Liam Brady. You know that. I've never ever said that. Swannies are flying at the moment. No need to make any hasty decisions or any major changes to our lineup. We're a massive chance to beat Sunbury down there this weekend.
Please say it off air as well when you carry it when you walk around the office, mate.
I do.
And last game, Bacchus Marsh and North City. A game where Bacchus Marsh need to, I reckon, win back a bit of respect. They've been pretty ordinary in recent times, and I reckon if they can win this game or be competitive, might set their second half of the season up.
But again, Bacchus Marsh beat North Ballarat City on their home deck this time last season. Yep. So again, not impossible for them to win this game, but I think North Ballarat City will start to get their season going.
The BFL Encyclopedia will start calling you.
Correct.
Mate, thanks so much for joining us on the show. As always, it's a pleasure, and you're welcome information. Got a big weekend of footy action coming up this weekend, so we obviously encourage all the people to get along to a local game and support your local teams this weekend. Thanks for joining us, Nunny.
Good on you, Brades.
And for now, it's goodbye. But before we go, we should always recognise our sponsors, Ballarat Toyota and McDonald's Ballarat. 2 great sponsors. Make sure you go down and buy a Big Mac or go down and buy a car from Ballarat Toyota. For now, it's good night.